Hello and welcome back, and today I'll be talking about the 10 most overrated characters in The Walking Dead. But before we get into this list, a quick disclaimer: I am not saying these characters are bad. A lot of the characters, or most of the characters on this list, are really good characters. However, I believe some of these characters are just a little overrated, and they deserve a lot of the praise they get, but a lot of these characters are looked back very fondly through rose-tinted glasses, and you don't actually see, okay, maybe they were just average at the time, or they were good, but they weren't absolutely phenomenal and we should be praising them. So this is my most controversial list so far, and let's jump right into this with a very strong number 10, Shane. This is very controversial to put Shane on this list because he is widely regarded as some of the best characters, someone's favourite character, and even some of the best villains is Shane. I agree he is a really great character, however, he is a great character for the early seasons. When we get into the middle part of The Walking Dead, Shane really kind of blends in, and if you're still around in that middle part, you'll be like, okay, he's very similar to Rick, and Rick is an amazing character, and all Shane really is just this counterpart to Rick. He was great in those early seasons, but if we compare him to some characters we see later on in The Walking Dead, he is very similar to some of them, which makes Shane feel a bit less special, and it makes me feel like I'm looking back at this character with rose-tinted glasses, and we're just trying to remember him with nostalgia. Shane is a character that just brings a lot of nostalgia, which is why a lot of people really like him, or me, for a reason. So he's my number 10, so he's barely on this list. But number 9 is Jerry. This is another character which I think is overrated. A lot of fans really love this character. I think it's the performance and the actor and how lovable the character is. However, Jerry does really nothing. He is just there a lot of the time. He is sometimes the comic relief, and he amounts to nothing. And that's really it. Like, what can you say about Jerry? What plot lines is he attached to other than he gets trapped in a tunnel and barely escapes? Jerry doesn't really do much. He's just a character that gets a lot of praise because of the actor, not because of the character. Now, number 8 is Luke. And this is another case of the actor is an amazing person and everyone really likes the character. But Luke as a character, he is a bit boring. Like, he's really good in Season 9. A lot of people remember Luke for Season 9. He was a standout in the Magna/Connie group. However, Season 10, he's barely in Season 10. Season 11, he's non-existent until the final 3 or 4 episodes. Luke is a character that everyone is looking back for Season 9. And he really does let you down a lot of the time. And he deserves some hype, but a lot of the hype around Luke is undeserved just because of how minuscule and how little Luke ends up doing and how boring and pointless the character ends up being. Now, number 7 is Ezekiel, and this ends my little kind of list of characters which are very loved because of the actor. The actor who plays Ezekiel is such a nice guy, and everyone really loves the character because of the actor, and he's very interesting in times. However, if you really do look at the character of Ezekiel, for 2 seasons, he's very much a pantomime character, and then once you get past that pantomime-ness of season 7 and 8, he doesn't really do much. He's just Carol's side piece, and all he does is get cancer and then recover from cancer. He is a major character that just kind of sits in a buffer zone a lot of the time, and he's just there for Carol's character development. That's all he does. He doesn't really have any stories of his own, and that's why they just gave him cancer and was like, we're gonna have you be sick for a season and a bit, just so that characters like Carol and other characters can be like, we need to help Ezekiel. He's just a plot device for other characters at times, and he doesn't really have his own agency and do much by himself without other characters being like, we need to do this for you. So he can be a little boring at times, and when you look at Ezekiel like this, he can be a nothing character as well, which really does suck. The number 6 is very controversial, and I'm going to say the Governor, and he is a great villain. However, he is definitely overrated and overhyped, and we are all looking back at rose-tinted glasses. The Governor is a very grey character. However, he can be a bit underwhelming at times, and with the Governor, we are definitely being like, he's the best character, but we're not comparing him properly to the later characters like Negan. He, in my opinion, is one of the most iconic and maybe the best villain of The Walking Dead. But we're really going, oh, the Governor. This is definitely like the Shane case, because it's from those very nostalgic early seasons of The Walking Dead. We look back very fondly at these characters and being like, he is the best character. And we always put him on this pedestal that maybe they don't deserve to be on. He is a great character, but I think maybe we are definitely looking back a lot like Shane with rose-tinted glasses at this character. And maybe he doesn't deserve all the hype that we're giving him, but he does deserve most of it. Now, number 5 is Carol, and this might be very controversial, but Carol is a case that she's been around for so long. Everyone's like, she's a fan favorite. She's just been around. It doesn't mean she's a great character. And for the longest time, if you look at Carol as a character, she can be boring at times. Like, you have Carol in season 10, annoying. Carol doesn't really do much in season 11. In season 9, she is really just there with the fair, while all the plot is going around with Daryl and her son Henry. And also, some of her storylines do repeat themselves a little, and even especially in 7 and 8, where I think a lot of the characters are at their worst, she just mimics Morgan's storyline, but in reverse. And maybe it's time for Carol to say goodbye to her, and we put her to rest for a bit. I don't mean kill her, but just put her in a buffer zone, say she's doing something off screen, so that we can have some time away from Carol so they can come back fresh, and maybe she'll deserve how hyped up she is. Now, number 4 is Maggie, and this is also controversial, and these top 4 are going to be very controversial. But Maggie, for me, she's a character which was great up until about season 7 and 8, and then they just haven't done anything with Maggie. And she's got the spin-off. Maggie's a character that has had zero character development for about 6-7 years now. She's just been, I can't get over my husband's death, I need to go fight Negan. She's been doing that for 6-7 years and over across 2 shows. Maggie is massively overhyped, and a lot of the character development that Maggie has happens off screen, and she just comes back and is like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the leader now. She can be really annoying, and she's still a great character, especially in the first 5 seasons of The Walking Dead she's in. And she's okay in the all-out war arc, but it's just everything after the Saviors in season 8. Maggie has just been annoying, and she doesn't deserve a lot of the hype and a lot of praise she gets in the more recent years of the character of Maggie. And number 3 is Glenn, and I already can hear the little buttons going down in the comments. However, hear me out. Glenn is a fantastic character, but he does not deserve all that hype that happened around him with the, oh, Glenn died so I stopped watching. He's a great character, but if you look about it, Glenn doesn't really do much in half the seasons. In season 1, 2, and 3, Glenn is an important character, but 4, 5, and 6, Glenn is really a background character, and characters like Maggie get pushed more to the forefront. Glenn is a nothing character, especially in season 6. That's why they fake killed him off, because they didn't really know what to do with Glenn. He's a great character, but he just doesn't deserve this hype because of how little he actually does in The Walking Dead. It is a case a lot like how I mentioned with Ezekiel, Jerry, and Luke, where the actor is really beloved, however the character doesn't really do much and amount to much of anything. And that's why I'm going to put Glenn in number 3, even though I'm a real big fan of Glenn and Stephen Young. I think he is way too overhyped, and I'm one of the people who actually like his death. I think it's definitely needed. However, it is just my opinion. I feel like it's very crucial to mention it right now with this Glenn section. This is just my opinion. Now, number 2 is Rosita, and she's a character that's been around a lot, and she really doesn't do anything. Think about Rosita's character. She's introduced in season 4 as Abraham's girlfriend. All Rosita does is get passed around to be the girlfriend of many other characters, and she doesn't really have any storylines of her own. She spends season 7 with Sasha being like, oh, we need to get payback because Abraham died. It is a real shame because the actor's good, but the character of Rosita is a little boring at times, and it just feels like they don't know what to do with Rosita, so they just give her a new boyfriend every other season, and then they're like, oh yeah, we're going to write her a child, and then don't really do much with that storyline either. It's a real big disappointment because she gets the Andrea death, but it just doesn't feel deserved. She's also the only character to appear in more episodes than Rick Grimes before Rick left in season 9. In season 7, she appeared in 14. Rick appeared in less than that, which is quite cool, but she didn't really do much in all that screen time. She is a character that's been around for a lot of time, so a lot of people really like her. However, long time doesn't mean very good character. She's probably the only character on this list that I'm a meh on. Every other character I really like, but I think they are a bit overrated. But Rosita, I'm a bit meh on. She's a character that doesn't really interest me that much, and all the hype around her just doesn't feel deserved. Now, number 1 is Daryl Dixon. And is this a shocker? We have all those, like, if Daryl dies we riots jokes and stuff like that. He's a character which is amazing. He's one of my favourite characters, but I think he is overhyped to high heaven. Daryl Dixon, for me, was at his peak from season 1 to 6, and I think everything from season 6 onwards, outside of maybe the Daryl Dixon TV show and The Walking Dead season 9, has been downhill for Daryl Dixon, and I believe he should have died in the Savior War at some point in season 7 or season 8. Daryl, in my opinion, is a character whose hype has kept him alive way longer than we needed him. I definitely think Daryl should have died because they haven't really been doing much of a storyline outside of Daryl Dixon. If we look at just The Walking Dead, in his final 2 seasons, season 10 and 11, he really doesn't do much, and especially season 11, it really annoyed me how Daryl just kind of was there a lot of the time. Maggie took over the leadership role and she kind of pushed Daryl out to do basically nothing, yet Carol doing her plot, and Daryl was just there, end of the show, and it really annoyed me, and I feel like Daryl should have died. We could have had a great in-the-pocket character, season 1 to 6, maybe season 1 to 7, season 1 to 8, whatever. If he died, we wouldn't have had this character just kind of carried on, meandering around, not doing much until his epic spin-off, which he then ruined in season 2 by just reversing him back to status quo. But before I end this, I just want to quickly say once again, he is still a great character. I really do like Daryl. He's one of my favourite characters, but I just think he gets a bit too much hype, and it's kept him around a little too long. And as always, this is just my personal opinion. So if you agree with my list, disagree, I'd like to know all your thoughts down below. And what are your rankings for the top 10 most overrated characters in the Walking Dead universe? And this is it for me today, so thank you for listening, and I will talk to you later.